Welcome back, Lorcana players. It's Poisonous. Today we're breaking down our first deck list of the Reign of Jafar. I'm really excited to try out the new cards. I've been playing with this deck a little bit online and it seems to be doing pretty well. This is a Blurple list, very similar to last set. However, we've spiced it up with some cards from the new set and brought a little bit more item synergy into it as well. I'm calling this Blurple Monstropawps. As always, thanks for checking out my videos. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, let me know what cards you're excited for playing with the new set, what you've been using, and what's been working for you. I want to hear all about it. I'm not going to be streaming this week. I did launch a Twitch channel, and I got the link in the description, but I'm going to Florida for a week, so I'm not going to be online, and this is kind of prime time to try out the new cards. But I am dropping this video before I go, because this deck seems to be doing well, and I want to share it with you guys so you can enjoy it as well. Let's break down the list. The list has our usual ramp cards, so it's got 4 copies of Tipo and 4 copies of Sail the Azurite Sea. These are our main way to ramp and play our 4-cost cards on turn 3. We have 4 copies of Fox because he's a really great tempo card, 3 copies of Crab to boost the strength of our characters, including our evasives, to help deal with locations and to get trades into things like Maui Shark. We are running 4 copies of Bell, and along with that we have 4 copies of Popsicle, but I've also added 2 copies of Croquet Mallet. This should make getting the Bell out a little bit more consistent, and the Croquet Mallet giving our characters rush can be extremely useful when you're dealing with like a more aggressive deck, which we're seeing the rise of the Chernadogs with all the cards that have been added with Reign of Jafar. So I think that this is, a worthwhile investment. Running 4 copies of Genie, because he's such a strong card. He gives you a card draw on turn 3. He's evasive, has 4 health, quest for 2. We're running the Goat. The Goat is our closer. There are certain matchups where they can't deal with the fact that we can just instant lore gain, bounce, and play the Goat again. So he's our closing card. 2 copies of Bell to move damage around. 4 copies of Elsa, who pairs nicely with the new Into the Unknown card. She's also just a really great card overall because she lets you exert character. She has rush. There's lots of upsides to Bell. 4 copies of Tamatoa, because we're running an item package. His ability to recycle items, to play items for free. He's just a great card overall. He's really good value, and he's got to be in the deck for card draw. We're running 4 copies of Hades. Hades has been a staple of Blurple because he's like basically hard removal. Although he does give them ink, he has a nice 3/6 body that quests for 2, so he's very strong, and you can bounce him with Fox and replay him, which is good. 3 copies of Monstro. So Monstro is a 6/8 with Rush, and his effect says, choose and discard a card, ready this character, you can't quest for the rest of the turn. So it basically means that if you have a wide board to deal with, you can just keep discarding cards to keep challenging and clearing off their board. Or you could quest and then do a challenge if you have a card that you don't mind discarding. I think that he's probably a pretty good card. He's kind of like Scar, but he's a little bit beefier, and he's inkable, so even if you're not going to use him, he's not always stuck in your hand, and he's kind of a fun card to play around with. We're running 2 copies of Finders Keepers for card draw, 4 copies of Friends on the Other Side, and then the other new card that we're running is Into the Unknown. The Into the Unknown gives you the ability to do what Let It Go did, but only on exerted characters. The upside here is that it only costs 3 and it's still a song. It means that almost every character in our deck can sing it. The only one who can't is Tipo. It means that it's always available, but because it only costs 3, we also have the option to hard cast that. There's lots of times where we can hard cast it and still play a character or do other things during our turn. This is, probably one of the best cards from the new set overall. The only card that we haven't talked about so far is Merlin's Carpet Bag. This lets you pay 1 and exert the Carpet Bag to return an item from the discard to the hand. You can keep recycling your Popsicles, you can bring back your Croquet Mallet to give a character rush, and then the next turn do it again. This is also part of the combo with Monstro, that we have cards that we don't mind discarding because we can get them back, so we're not constantly dwindling the resources in our hand. So we're just running 1 copy of that, but it is useful. So now that we've taken a look at the deck list, let's dive into the opening lines that this deck relies on. So in the opening, our ideal opening line is turn 1 Popsicle, which draws you a card, replacing itself, and then banishing the Popsicle to play Bell. A 3/3 body is extremely strong. On turn 1, there's almost no way for them to remove it, and it threatens any aggro cards that they might be playing, so they can't quest with them. On turn 2, we want to ramp, so we want to play Tipo or Sail, and if we played Bell on turn 1, then the dream here is that Bell sings Friends on the other side. So she draws 2 cards, and now we're generating a big hand. We have card advantage, and we've ramped with almost no loss of hand size. On turn 3, you want to play Genie, drawing you a card and establishing a really annoying body for the opponent to deal with. And then turn 4, you have the option for Elsa or Bell. Elsa is really good because it lets you exert, and she can go in challenge and remove a small character from the other side. But the Bell can also be useful, especially if they have an exerted character that you can challenge with Genie. I really love when they have a Smee and they quest with Smee, and then Genie takes them out, takes 3 damage, you play Bell, and then you remove the 3 damage off Genie and put it onto one of their other characters. So you have a couple different options there for some lines. You could also just play, another Genie or any other, 3-cost card, just to establish a bit more of a board. Or you could hard cast a Finder's Keepers. Drawing 3 is always, a good option, especially if we're ahead on board and it's not costing us too much tempo. You don't want to do that if they're playing a deck like Steel Song, where they might just cast a whole new world, and instead of setting up another character, we just drew cards that we're going to throw into our discard. The other opening option that you have with Blurple is what I call the double ramp opening, and this is done usually if you have both ramp cards in your opening hand and you don't have too many uninkables. So in this situation, what you want to do is do a turn 1 Popsicle. You could still play Bell, but if you have a lot of uninkables, then you might need to save her to ink, but if you can afford it, she's good to play, especially if you have friends and she can sing that. But the double ramp works by on turn 2 playing Tipo and inking something, getting up to 3 ink, and then on turn 3 playing Sail. When you play Sail, that lets you go all the way up to 5 ink. You've already spent 2 for Sail, but it means that you're going to have 3 unexerted ink, so you can play a 3-cost character, and this sometimes can be a big swing. You played a Tipo, you can now crab it and trade up, or fox it, return the Tipo, and the fox can take something out. Or you could just hard cast Friends, you could hard cast a Bell if that's the best card that you have to play in that situation. But the double ramp gets you to 5 and can establish, a 3-cost character at the same time, which is pretty good. You just want to make sure that you have some card draw options after that, because this depletes a lot of your hand. You want to go into like Sail, or not Sail, Friends on the other side, or Finder's Keepers here, or a Genie isn't too bad on the following turn, but you want to have a way to generate some card draw after doing this. But it can be really good, especially against decks that are aggressively ramping. You want to try and keep up with them. This does a good job of doing that. And against like red purple, you want to have more ink than them so you can get to your big stuff before they can do B prep. And this is a way to do that. So the double ramp in Blurple is kind of underrated. It does need to go in a specific order though, because you can't do double ramp into a 3-cost if you go Sail first and then Tipo second, because Tipo gives you an exerted ink. So you kind of need to like do the Tipo on 2 and the Sail on 3 to get that 3-cost out. But it is strong. It's a worthwhile opening. It gives you an option when you don't have an ideal aggressive opening, the different way to play it, and it works better into different matchups, and it's a nice little kind of backup plan for when you don't get the Bell Popsicle opening. It still gives you some choice. The first interaction that I want to talk about with the deck is the item package and Tamatoa. So Tamatoa lets you return 2 item cards from your discard when you play them, and when you quest you can play an item for free. The items are really important in the synergy of this deck because the Popsicles let you draw a card, they let you basically play Bell for free, and the Croquet Mallet gives all of our characters the ability to have Rush. So when you play Tamatoa, you want to bring back the items that are most useful for you in that situation. Usually going to be Popsicle to draw a card, but there are times where you need to take things out, and the Croquet Mallet can give Tamatoa Rush. As long as you have enough ink to then play the Croquet Mallet, you can banish it, give him rush, and he can immediately start challenging as well. So that's a nice little option that it gives you. The items are also useful if you need to discard them to have Monstro keep cycling, and then you can get them back with Tamatoa. The other item that we're running is kind of in the same vein. It's Merlin's Carpet Bag. You pay 1 and exert it to return an item from the discard. That means you can bring back a Popsicle every turn. So for 2 ink, essentially, you can draw an extra card every turn once you have the Carpet Bag established and you have a Popsicle in your discard. You can also play the Carpet Bag for free. It costs 5, but if your Tamatoa survives a turn so it can quest, you can have him quest, set up the Carpet Bag, and then immediately start using it to cycle through your items. So you want to make sure that you're being mindful of how your items are interacting. You want to try not to ink too many of your Popsicles, because you do want to have the ability to bring back 2 at a time with Tamatoa, and you want the ability to kind of run through them with the Carpet Bag as well. You definitely want to have at least 1 in your discard no matter what, but 2 is ideal. Same with the Croquet Mallet. We're only running 2. Can't ink it obviously, but you want to make sure that you're getting it set up so it can start to get you that extra value as soon as possible. Even playing it on 1 and playing Belle is fine. That way you can get it back later with Carpet Bag or with Tamatoa. And once you have the Carpet Bag set up and the Croquet Mallet set up, then you can always just be paying 1 ink and then 1 to play it and then giving a character rush. So for the rest of the game, the opponent has to consider the threat that every character you play that doesn't have rush can have rush once you have those items set up. So it's something they have to calculate. It makes them less likely to quest when they think that they could lose their characters to something of yours. Obviously, they know we are running rush with Elsa and potentially the Monstro after they see that, but it just gives you kind of more reach with your deck by having that threat of rush all the time. The next interaction that I want to highlight is with Into the Unknown. Into the Unknown lets you put a character into their inkwell face down exerted the song, but it only works on exerted characters. But we do have Elsa in our deck. Elsa lets us exert one of their characters. So it doesn't always have to be that Elsa is choosing a character for you to challenge. It can be that she's just choosing a character for you to exert so you can cast Into the Unknown on it. So if they have like a Chernabog or a Shark or something big on their side of the board, you don't always need to be able to have the ability to take it out in a challenge. Just exerting it and then using the song with another character or with your leftover ink to remove it is really good. And then Elsa could challenge something else if there's something else on the board that is exerted for her to challenge. So just keep that in mind, that you can still hit characters that are upright. It just requires a combo as opposed to Let It Go, where you could hit them at any time. And then once you get up to 7, of course, Hades can do the same thing as well. So it just gives us, more versatility there. And it is inkable, which is nice. So it's a really strong card. It's locked into blue-purple, which I guess is how they justify making a more powerful version of Let It Go, or at least a cheaper version of Let It Go. So, I don't think the downside is enough to make up for how much better this song is than Let It Go. And the Enchanted is really sick too. I really wish that I opened that Enchanted because it's probably the best one of the set in my opinion. And the last interaction that I want to talk about is with Monstro. The Monstro has Rush, and then you can discard a card to ready him. So he lets you try and clear off the board big threats. You can also use him to deal with locations because you can challenge multiple times. And the discarding a card isn't usually too bad. In Blurple, I find that your hand size is generally pretty healthy, and you can just kind of run with it that way. Keep in mind that he's taking damage in these challenges, so if you have Popsicles, don't forget to heal him before you challenge again if he's going to get banished, and that way he can stay alive and get you some extra value. You can also protect him by discarding a card and not challenging at the end, so that way he's left upright if you think that the opponent's gonna, challenge into him and take him out and you want to preserve him for some reason. So just keep in mind that extra little twist that It's not always just so you can do another action with him. Sometimes you just ready him to protect him, which is still fine. And I think that overall he's good. He costs 8, so he is powerful, but most decks won't be able to play him. But I think Blurple is uniquely suited because of the ability to ramp and the fact that you almost always get up to 8 ink, that he can work in this deck where a lot of other decks, he would just be kind of a meme. I think that he's actually a solid choice to play in this deck. I think that he's good. That's it. That's the deck list. That's how it plays. I'll drop some more content when I get back from Florida. As always, thanks for checking out the channel. Please subscribe, like the video. Hit the link in the description for my Twitch channel and give me a follow there. I'm still trying to get that channel off the ground, but I appreciate all the support from everyone, and I'll be dropping some more gameplay and some more in-depth videos when I get back. Cheers.